You know, I woke up this morning. I didn't think at any point Larry Lucchino and I would be discussing Jerry Callahan's hair. But he's jealous. He's very jealous. No, he was impressed. He was impressed.
Yeah,
he was impressed. He liked it.
Why are you wearing a hat, Larry?
Because it says Jimmy Fun on it.
You know what Sam Kennedy just told us? He says, if it weren't for you, Lee Nadler, Larry's doctor, and Larry Lucchino, none of this would have happened. I don't want to give you that much credit, but you are a driving force behind a lot of this. I know it predated you, but the Red Sox relationship with the Jimmy Fund, you gave it new life. Kind of.
Well, thank you. When we got here in 2000 and the end of 2001. One of our things was to deepen and strengthen and widen the connection between the Red Sox and the Jimmy Fund. I remember taking John and Tom over to Dana-Farber and the Jimmy Fund the first week of January in 2002. And then this telethon really came out as there was a lot of talk about it, but the telethon was a really WEEI and Red Sox brainchild originally, and of course NESN has added so much to it in their time here, but it's something we look on with great pride.
A two-time cancer survivor here, Dr. Nadler. What kind of patient is Larry? He's a tough guy. He's a tough exterior. What kind of patient was he fighting this stuff?
So when I met Larry that first day, and he can tell you what he said, Tom Fry, who was his doctor, was one of the most wonderful men in the world. I told Larry that he relapsed on therapy and there was nothing for him, and he sent me in. And Larry's sitting there with his brother, and I'm explaining all of this in my inimitable, warm...
90 miles an hour speed.
Now, I'll tell you what I said. And he turned to me and said, "What are my alternatives?" And I said, "You don't have any." And he looked at me. So I left, and what'd you say? You can't say the words.
Well, I said, don't turn to my brother, and I said, what the... blank was that?
Yeah.
Who the blank was that?
As a patient, I'll be very honest with you, this guy's a courageous guy. He never whimpered. He never complained. And he went through a hard trip. You know, he was right there at the beginning when we were in uncharted territory. We're 31 years together. And, you know, the prognosis on that moment, Tom Fry looked at me and said, was 0. So 31's not bad for a 0.
Really?
I'll take it.
I didn't know that. You had no chance.
No, I heard different numbers, but
it wasn't good.
I was told a 30% chance, and I was told it was shrinking because I relapsed, and so
when you went through chemo, it was nasty. Now there's more drugs.
It's much more benign process, but it still it can be quite challenging. But there are variations in it. I mean, listen to me talking about cancer treatments, but what I do like about this day is that there's so many things I like about it. It's a Red Sox tradition, it's a New England tradition, it's a WEEI tradition. The whole community comes together. It's there's a great feeling about it. But we also take a minute to recognize people like Dr. Nadler, Lee Nadler, Lisa Scherber was here this morning. I saw her on. She deserves 2 hours by herself just talking. She's so good. And but there are just so many doctors and nurses and research people and folks who finally get some recognition. We get a chance to say thank you to them for what they do year in and year out, and over at the clinic, and for cancer research in general. So for community to stop for a day or two in the summer and say thank you, we recognize what you do, we recognize how important you are, and we are immensely grateful.
Are you bummed out that, like, Bryce Brents is wasting all those home runs in Pawtucket? He could be up here hitting them.
He's got 25, 26, something like that. He's
you're the owner.
Yeah, I know. I don't keep track of the latest home run totals, but it's a second in minor league baseball. I will tell you that. And
what a waste.
He's going to play. He's going to play in the big leagues. He's a minor league free agent at the end of this year, so it'll be interesting to see what happens to him. He's a very good guy. He's always been Dwight Evans' favorite outfield prospect.
You miss coming on with us, don't you? Just admit it.
No, not only one.
Not at all.
Let me tell the truth. Actually, I miss it a little bit. I miss some of the banter and some of the challenges you guys would pose, and
especially now. I mean, you're really missing out. It's the wildest time in history right now.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, you know,
it always sounds like the wildest. That's the definition of Red Sox Nation. It always feels like the wildest time in history, wherever you are.
I was thinking more outside the Red Sox.
I was thinking, imagine how much he...
Oh, you're thinking about oh my goodness. We could have some real fun with...
Commander-in-Chief, yeah.
Yes. Although I must say, I did appreciate you guys calling out the right-wing elements at Charlottesville last week who caused some of the problems earlier on in this. So there are some things we can agree on. But
they're coming to town this weekend. Could you get them some tickets? They might want to go to a game.
Yeah, that's got to be high on my list of things to do. Yeah.
No Tessie dolls for them. I don't think that's going to happen.
But Kirk said it. I said it. Sam Kennedy, your predecessor, is not like you, is he? Or is he? Is there a dark side to him?
Oh, Sam is well, I like to think he's like me in certain ways, but he has a immense people skills,
right.
More so than I had. Yeah,
yes.
and I recognize that about him. I think he's great, and it's a point of some pride that the people who succeed you, and if you've had some luck maintaining and collecting good people, and Sam is right at the top of that list. He's done a great job.
You got to remember, Sam's father's a preacher.
Oh, that's right.
God watches Sam.
Yeah, God doesn't give a damn about Larry.
I beg to differ.
So how are the Paw Sox doing? How's things in Pawtucket?
Oh, things are colorful. We're in the midst of Rhode Island politics, which is always a challenge. We are waiting to see if there will be a fall session of the legislature, at which time they would pass enabling legislation to allow Pawtucket to build a ballpark.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah,
and
it's
Rhode Island, Larry?
I'm sorry?
You going to stay in Rhode Island, you think?
Well, that remains to be seen. We're pretty proud of the long history there and the connections that exist there. But
that's a no.
We're now at a
that's a no. That's a no.
They're open to bidding.
That's a no.
No, I'd say to be honest, it's an open question. We have to see what the legislature does. And the one thing that has happened is they've enabled us to go and explore other possibilities. So we're doing that too.
Yeah. Okay, well, guys,
right, thanks, Larry. Thanks,
Lee. Larry, thanks
16
a lot,
in a row.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you next year, I'm sure.
Yes, good luck with it today. Let's get a big total.
Yes,
we are rolling.